Hey, I've been working on working on the movement prototype, and I wanted to show off what I've been working on and kind of frame it around the reasons for why I've made the changes in terms of balance, and also kind of my comments on movement in general and how to make a balanced movement system, and ways that EUT kind of in the past has not failed as such, but kind of ways it has kind of succeeded and ways it has not succeeded as well. So first of all, I'm just going to show you one cool aspect of the mantling thing that Nick put in. And what I've done is I've moved this pillar slightly to the left. In the base map it sticks out a bit further, but if you move it to the left it means you can do this if you're not terrible at the game, so I'll probably mess it up at least once or twice. Nope. At least once or twice. So basically the idea of mantling is it just lets you reach ledges that you wouldn't usually if you weren't going to make the jump, almost. So if you were just about not going to make a jump, it kind of lets you make a jump, so it essentially increases your jump distance. Almost. Like a fraction of a millimetre closer than it would have made it. And it kind of just lifts you up, and it essentially just makes your player model smaller for a brief second while pushing you towards the ledge. Oh dear. Unfortunately, because it's not a very optimised version of the game, it's a bit laggy, so I'm not getting as many frame rates as I do when I'm not streaming. There we go. So I don't know if you noticed, but kind of the eye view height dipped and then came up as I kind of mantled up this ledge, and it's a really nice example of how you can like wall dodge off something and then make it to a ledge. I really like that. It's a really cool system. As for the actual dodge mechanic itself, I've made... Actually, first of all, I'll show you the slam mechanic, which I demonstrated in a previous prototype. So you just jump and then slam. And I assume it would just... one thing it could do is it could kind of stop you from moving for a brief second once you land, similar to how the dodge is initially set up. And it would balance it a bit better, but I really like being able to, like, instead of dodging the full distance, you can stop it midway and just head straight down. It's pretty cool. So yeah, the changes I made to the dodging are pretty simple, and I'm not sure if this should be on a button or just in the base game, but the idea is if you dodge, you get a slight boost horizontally in the direction that you dodge for very brief. You probably can't even notice it, but what's happening is I'm landing and then it's giving me a slight acceleration in that kind of direction. Like, it's literally like a step, and what it allows you to do is jump after a dodge. I'll do it sideways so you can tell, and you maintain some of the momentum that you have from the dodge. So if you usually jump, you just go straight up, but if you side jump and then dodge, you get a bit of a hop like that. And basically, depending on how well you can time the jump, depends on how high or how far it goes. And it feels pretty smooth. In terms of balancing, I'm not sure how far it should send you. Obviously, like you can see, sometimes it's not giving me anything, and then other times I get much more. But it feels nice. You've got this kind of... It allows you to do things that you can't do if you have all your momentum killed when you land from a dodge. And the main example is like stringing wall dodges together, and I'll show you that in a second. But I tend to prefer this simply because it feels more natural that when you jump you don't stand like yeah, when you jump, you don't just stand still on the spot. You tend to have inertia or momentum after landing in any game. Well, I feel like you should do. It makes sense to have momentum after you land from doing a big jump. And the fact you can kind of maintain some of that momentum when you land via jumping, if you are not terrible at timing it, like I seem to be. There we go. If you're not terrible at timing it, then it gives you an advantage, and it's not an easy thing to get perfect every time, and it's definitely adds some kind of skill depth to the game, which I feel this dodging, like, I feel there's only so much depth in terms of just dodging to move around you can have, and it's generally always more efficient to just continue dodging than it is to do anything else, because it's faster than running, and the problem with dodging is you have complete control over the direction of your character, whereas if you're using momentum, you only have the control you would have it from control variable. That was a double. There's a bug in this version of the game where if you dodge off a wall, usually like a forward dodge, you can actually dodge off it twice. I'll show you in here actually, and it just needs to be looked at. Let's see if I can. That's a good place. Almost. It's. There we go. So you can see I had like 3 or 4 dodges in a row off there, and it's just, I feel like you shouldn't be able to dodge off the same wall more than once, or in the same direction off the same wall more than once, because you can kind of, if you hold yourself, like here I'm holding A to run left, and then double tapping W to do the forward dodge, and it just keeps dodging off the same wall, but that can be easily fixed. But if you see me doing any like crazy far dodges, that's the reason why it's happening. But back to the momentum thing, if you do a wall dodge here, what would usually happen is you lose all your momentum here. So in the game as it is without modification, you do a wall dodge and then you lose all momentum here. But if you can continue the momentum by not messing up the jump and jumping at the right time, you can, the momentum will carry you through to touching this wall, which you can dodge off. So I'll try and give an example of that. There we go. So what I did was I jumped, I dodged off this wall, then I jumped, continued with the momentum from the dodge, and then hit this wall, and then I wall dodged off it while I was in the air, and I landed at the bottom of the ramp. And if you're successful at timing everything perfectly, you will actually land around here, and you can jump again, and then the momentum will carry you to this wall where you can dodge off. And I'll try and do it, but I feel like I'll try doing it off this wall. There we go. So same principle, I jumped, the momentum carried me, and I hit that wall, which I could dodge off. And it feels like a really like smooth, enjoyable way to move around, where you can jump in between dodges and have a forward component. And in principle it's similar to the air dodging or the jump dodging in UT 2004, where you do a dodge and then you jump, but the difference is when you do that you maintain the vertical height from the initial dodge and you add to it with the jump, so you end up jumping and like ending up far in the air, and it feels very floaty. And also, because you have more control over the momentum, you have more control over the direction you're going to go, it just has balancing issues. Whereas with this, because momentum, you have the zero control over the direction apart from the direction that you were facing when you did the initial dodge. It means that I feel like it's more balanced, For example, this is quite a cool one, where you jump off here, jump, and then if you time that better than I just did, you hit that wall, and then you can dodge off in that direction, off the wall. I'll do it a couple more times to try and get it right. I just didn't jump at the right time at all then. No, again. But the reason why I think it's more balanced is because it's momentum. You as an opponent, you know where a player is going to end up if they have momentum, because obviously they can only go in the direction that they have momentum. Whereas if you have no momentum, you can just dodge in a completely different direction every time. It's impossible to tell where the player is going to be. So I really do feel like momentum is more balanced, because you can give a player more speed with momentum, but also the speed isn't necessarily always good in every situation, where dodging is always good in every situation because you can direct it to wherever you want to be. I hope I'm being somewhat coherent in this argument. Oh dear. It's really difficult to, especially because there's no sounds in the game at the moment. I think that would help it a lot, but it's really difficult to tell exactly when you've just landed, and so it's really difficult to time jumps, apart from just kind of guesstimation. Oh dear, I'm hitting the jump just too early every time. Too late possibly? Oh, it's got stuck. And stuck again. There we go. It wasn't a perfect example, you can actually time that a bit better. But I dodged off that wall, landed, bounced, using jump, momentum carried me against this wall, and then I could wall dodge off this direction. And I think it's really cool. It'd be good to have some feedback. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. The mantling's pretty cool. It doesn't affect gameplay too much, but it's just like for these kind of cases where you're terrible at the game, these cases where you aren't quite able to make a jump, it allows you to make it, and it's pretty cool. I think I'll probably end it around there, but just as a basic summary, is the main change I've allowed players to maintain a bit of momentum after jumping, and this allows you to string jumps together. Again, that was the bugged jump. You can string jumps together for the purpose of travelling faster, at the kind of the drawback of being more predictable, because with momentum you're more predictable for obvious reasons. Thoughts would be appreciative. I'm working on other ideas too as well, but this is just kind of my latest kind of thoughts and feelings. One thing that would be good to know is whether you think every jump you should be able to continue momentum. So you can do this kind of thing where you just keep doing it, or it's a button that you press to slide on the next jump, which is another thing you could do. So you could jump, press a button, and then you slide very briefly, and then you could do another jump, but I feel like that might be just too difficult. Possibly. I don't know. Anyway, that'll do.